not just for a fleeting second, but on a sustained basis. Do you ever imagine your child playing Little League, joining you on a bike ride, going on a skiing trip with you, playing with other kids at the park, or doing something in the future such as going to college? These events are possible. Children on the autism spectrum are capable of great change, including recovery. Who am I to tell you this? I'm someone who's been there, not where you are, but where your child is. I used to be autistic. I know. That one's a bit hard to digest. You don't often find used to be and autistic in the same sentence. This is truly unfortunate because it points to the intense pessimism and utter hopelessness with which autism is viewed by the people doing the diagnosing. Do you know what my chances of recovery were according to the specialists assessing me? 0%. That's right, 0%. Here's what happened. My story. When I was a young boy, my parents, authors and teachers Barry Neal Kaufman and Samaria Light Kaufman, saw that I was developing very differently from my two older sisters. I cried incessantly and inconsolably. When I was picked up, I let my arms dangle loosely at my sides. Before my first birthday, I suffered a severe ear and throat infection, compounded by a violent allergic reaction to the antibiotics prescribed. My life briefly hung in the balance. After a battery of hearing tests, my parents were told that I appeared deaf. As months passed, I seemed increasingly cut off, spiraling ever deeper into my own world. I stopped responding to my name. I ceased making eye contact. I appeared alternately repulsed by and oblivious to the sights and sounds around me. I appeared deaf to a loud noise right next to me and then mesmerized by an almost inaudible whisper in the next room. I lost all interest in other people, but I would remain transfixed by inanimate objects, staring at a pen, a mark on the wall, even my own hands, for long periods of time. I didn't want to be touched or held. I spoke not a word, nor did I cry, yell, point, or do anything to communicate my wishes, displaying a total muteness that stood in sharp contrast to my earlier crying marathons. And then something startling. I became fascinated with the simplest of repetitive activities, spinning plates on their edges for hours on the floor, rocking back and forth, flapping my hands in front of my face. As my condition worsened, my parents raced from specialist to specialist trying to find out what was wrong. Tests, tapping pencils, shaking heads, more tests. Keep in mind that in 1973, the year I was born, autism was much less common than it is now, affecting 1 out of every 5,000 children. The latest study from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, puts the incidence of autism at 1 out of every 50 children. Soon, I was diagnosed as severely autistic. My parents were informed that my IQ was less than 30. What can feel like a devastating diagnosis is not really due to the autism diagnosis itself. The devastation comes primarily from the prognosis, all the things parents are told that their child will not do and cannot accomplish. Like many parents today, my parents were told that the prognosis was certain. I would never speak or communicate in any meaningful way. I would never prefer people over objects. I would never emerge from my solitary world and be normal. Moreover, I would never go to college, have a career, or play baseball. I would never fall in love, drive a car, or write a poem. I might one day be able to dress myself or eat with utensils, but that was the ceiling of my possibilities. My parents, seeking solutions, were given only grim pronouncements. They searched for a light at the end of the tunnel and were given only dark predictions. Over and over again, it was drilled into my parents' heads. Autism is a lifelong condition. The specialists explained that when I got older, my parents would need to look into permanent institutionalization so that I could be properly looked after. I'm still astounded at what my mother and father chose to do in the face of such a damning verdict. They didn't believe what they were told. They didn't write me off. Instead, they turned their backs on all the dire prognoses. My parents looked at me and saw possibilities, not deficiencies. Instead of looking at me with fear, they viewed me with wonder.